Welcome to the Black Box App Podcast. I'm your host, Kenneth Johnson, president of East Coast Executives and developer of the app Black Box, a career consciousness portal designed for Black men. Excited to have a Black man on the show today that I really admire, value, someone that I just take pride in knowing because of all the things that he's put in place. And this is I'm just going to touch the surface real quick. Hollingsworth Soul. So that's the shoe and clothing line. I know he just recently came out with some watches. We'll talk a little bit about that. Hollingsworth Wine, right? Crime Scene Cleanup or Company. An author several times. Just found out that this gentleman's a life coach as well, talking about wellness and just talking about people's mental health. So with that being said, I'm not even going no deeper in. Mr. Michael Hollingsworth joins the show. Mike, welcome to the Black Box App.
Brother. Thank you, brother. It's a pleasure and an honor you received me on your show, man. What's going on?
I'm excited to have you. For all the obvious reasons, Harlem is definitely in the building. So I'm excited to have you. Entrepreneurship is definitely in the building. Professionalism and professional development is definitely in the building. So you bring all of those things to the table. How did you get, first of all, I shared a little bit with the audience about you, but tell us about yourself.
Oh man, Michael Hollingsworth, born and raised in Harlem, born and raised in a time where, the ghetto was the ghetto. Fortunate for me, I was raised with both my parents, so I didn't understand what the definition of the ghetto. I had hardworking parents, but I come up in an era where you had to be creative to win. You had to be creative to stand above the rest. You know what I mean? It was great competition when I was a child, when I was coming up, and I'm sure you understand that, where everyone wasn't seeking to be better than the next person. Everyone actually was, for the most part, most people from my generation, they took pleasure in being uplifted by others, seeing what others is doing. And say, you know what, you did that? Well, I can do that too. Hence the cars, right? Yes. You come in the 80s and, a guy's driving a car, and he's from another neighborhood, and he pull up to your neighborhood on your block, and he got some, he just came out with the new Saab, and this is 1984, and he got some BBSs, and you like, he got some lambskin seats in the car, and you be like, man, that's a nice car. Hell, he think he is. You know what? I'm gonna do better than that. I'm right. A top. So it was constructive competition. That's what I call it, man.
Constructive competition.
Yeah, that's what I call it, man.
I like it. It's interesting. I remember, you may not recall this, but we were having a conversation one evening, and I said, what do you credit some of those entrepreneurial endeavors to? And you told me, you said, hey, I grew up around older Black men that were very much about their business. And they shared with me how I should move and the things that I should be looking at as important versus things that weren't important. And you kind of went in that direction. So I thought that was really interesting, because that's one of the things the Black Box is really about at a certain level, right? Trying to provide a platform where we showcase Black men that are doing exceptional things, not to necessarily compete, but to constructively compete. Hey, you know what? If they can do that, I can also achieve that, and maybe even one up it, but not to down anything they're doing. Just it's the evolution of getting better.
Correct. It actually, not for nothing, without trying, that's what Dot and I do. You know what I mean? We see one another do something and we go, okay, I like that. You know what? It's time for me to do something else. Even with women, there's a lot of brilliant women out here, man, Black women who are moving in magnificent ways. And every time I see it, so I get turned on. It turns me on and say, okay, you know what? I'm not doing enough. Wow. I can do better. because I've seen this sister or I've seen this brother, be as creative as they know how to be. And I'm mad I didn't think about that. So now I got to step back, get in my box and figure out what I need to do. So that's Mike's thinking.
Okay.
That's my coin phrase. That's my way of calling it constructive competition.
You mentioned Dart, Harlem Champagne as well, and has the Harlem American clothing line. I want to do. I'm gonna tag this for November. We spoke about Entrepreneurship Month.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a panel with the two of you, and maybe we'll grab somebody else, somebody that maybe you can introduce me to. But I think that'd be amazing because you guys are both doing some amazing things. But speaking about some of the successes and just kind of looking at and admiring the work that Black women are doing out here, that's what the Black Box app came from. I just kind of looked at the space and said, wow, I love the way that sisters are supporting one another out here, in corporate America, in entrepreneurship, and just sisterhood in general. And I said, well, you know what? I want to create something that allows us to do that and to get together on platforms and share our stories and experiences and support one another. So yeah, so that's aligned extremely well. So look, talk to me about Mike Hollingsworth, the author. Like, tell me where all of this came from. How many books do you have?
I have 4 books. 2 of the books are Mike's Thinking, Mike's Thinking 1, Mike's Thinking 2. So the first book is called Mike's Thinking. And how the book came about was my youngest daughter, she was 15 at the time, and she was making some decisions that didn't sit well with her mother and myself. So I pulled up, I had a sit down with her, took her to lunch and said, listen, this is not happening. This is the route we're not going. What's going on, what you like, what you want to do. And she said, Daddy, I like to read, I like to write. One day I want to write a book. I said, well, why one day? Write a book now. It's easy. She said, you always say everything's so easy. If it's so easy, why don't you write a book? Because I never considered myself an author or writer.
Okay.
I said, is this a challenge? Now, mind, I come from a time where competition, you call me out, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what it is. So listen, dude, I wrote this book in 5 weeks with no editor. I did everything. I published it, no publisher. At the time, I mean, my woman actually, she was writing books. So she aided me in how to go about it, but she wouldn't help me. She said, you need to figure this out. And I wrote it in 5 weeks with a bunch of errors and everything. And of course, I dedicated to my daughter and kid. Without rhyme or reason, this is recorded. I sold 1,000 copies.
Wow.
I'm not even talking about out of the trunk. I'm talking about you go, online. I sold 1,000 copies, and I was shocked because I was just doing this for my daughter, and I did so well with the first book that my second book, my daughter and I did together, is entitled The Absence of an Existing Father, because, she wasn't raised in a household with me. So, I'm in her life, and she knows her dad, but she didn't go home to me every night. She didn't wake up to me. So what we did with the both of us, we actually came up with the concept of, I'm gonna tell my part of reality of what it is to be an outside father, and you tell your part of what it is to have an outside father.
Wow.
And neither one of us knew what we said until the book came out.
Oh, really? So you guys you didn't proof or look at your stuff. Like she didn't look at your story, you didn't look at hers.
No. So the title, The Absence of an Existing Father, by Michael Hollingsworth and Drew Hollingsworth. And then I came out with A Man Is Nothing Without a Woman.
Okay.
I published that. I got help, doing that correctly. After the first book, I did every other book correctly.
Okay.
And last but not least, I had to come out with Mike's Thinking 2, because I didn't realize that even though it was personal, it was for my daughter, that I was aiding so many people. I had people come up to me and was like, yo, listen, man, I read your whole book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then it hit me. A lot of us know how to read, but we don't read.
Okay.
And being in my book is really simple. My book is about Mike's Thinking is about um, inspiration. It's inspirational quotes, daily quotes
Okay.
that one can gravitate to, and anyone can gravitate to. If this page don't mean anything to you today, tomorrow it may. And I've had people come to me and say, "Yo, man, your book changed my life." Like literally, people like, "Yo, man, your book changed my life." I'm like, "Really? How?" Because I want to know how. He's like, "Yo,
Sure.
man," because there's a phrase in my book um, that I coined. It's entitled uh, "Think First, Act Once."
Okay.
You know
Okay.
what I mean? Think first, act. Think twice, act once.
Got you.
That's the quote. Think twice, act once.
I like
And
it.
this particular, he's like, "Yo, man, you know, I now think twice and act once." He said, like you saved me from going to prison." So I've had a lot of people come up to me and tell me what the book did for them, that I had to come out with Mike thinking too. So
It's
that's
amazing.
what.
It's amazing how you meeting the challenge that maybe wasn't even presented as a challenge from your daughter led to you having 4 books and helping who knows how many people kind of
Yeah,
navigate a time or a situation in their life. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
amazing in itself, man.
yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
wow. We're here with Michael Hollingsworth. Again, once again, I don't want to say serial entrepreneur, but literally,
Not yet, not yet. But
this guy.
that's my aim.
I believe that. I believe that to be the case, and I believe you'll achieve it, even if it's just because you just shared it, right? I'm a lot. I'm a lot like that. Typically, once I share something, I work really hard to accomplish it, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so just in kind of seeing some of the other things you have your fingerprints on, or at least you have the pulse of. I know I recently attended an event that you did in Manhattan, where you were showcasing some of your products and some of your ideas. And I know people call them sample sales and things of that nature, but I just saw it as a showcase
Nah,
of
no,
all
this is
the
a
people.
showcase.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a
So
showcase. I am a black designer, a shoe designer for men and women. I also make, clothing articles. I also make clothing articles, but I am really a shoe designer. And that event was called it was a gallery event to show off my talent.
yes.
I ran across a lot of people who see my online store, and they have said your prices are too high. Who do you think you are? You're not Gucci, you're not Louis. That price is entirely too high. Or these high name brands, right? So I made it a point to do this gallery so I can show you the point, that I picked the finest skins. It's real leather, whether it's lamb skin, calf skin, cow skin. You know, um, I'm really about my business,
Yes.
and I was impressed with myself with the outcome. Like yourself, you came and you saw the shoes, and everybody was all in awe. Like, yo, man, like I get it. I understand why now. So because people.
You
Uh,
know,
Go
you
ahead.
you. So I came to the event, saw the shoes, purchased the shoes.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
first thing you said to me the next time you saw me, you asked, "Aren't they really comfortable? Did you think they were comfortable?" And I said,
Right.
"Man, they're actually much more comfortable than I'd imagined." I had them on last night, but but
Right.
uh, but you said, "Yeah, I tried them. I made them that way because I wear them myself," and I
Yeah.
thought that spoke volumes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the designers from the high-end people. I don't know them. But and they don't know me and don't care, right? But I know there are some designers that they just want to make the money. Of course, I want to make the money, and I want the gratitude from it as well. But in the same breath, I want people to feel comfortable in my designs. I think about your feet, right? Because if your feet are okay, you can get through the day without problems. If your feet are hurting, you're gonna have issues getting through the day. You understand?
So,
So it's important to me that I make a shoe that's comfortable for the man and woman. very important. Even the clothing articles. But like I said, I'm more of a shoe designer than I'm a designer. Period. I'm not
Yes.
to take that from myself, but I take more pleasure in designing men and women's footwear opposed to. You know what
Man,
I mean?
you're out here doing a lot of different things. So I want to pivot the conversation a little and draw on your experience, not only as an entrepreneur, not only as a thinker, but as a Black man that's out here navigating some spaces that aren't traditionally spaces that we operate in. So I know that you maneuver in and out of them sometime independently, uh, in your accomplishments, right? Like you probably get into rooms where you look around and you don't see a lot of other people that look like you. So
Well, well, that's what I shared with you. A lot of people ask me, "Yo, how did you get into this business? How did you get into that business?" And listen, man, um, for no one to get offended, this is how I move. I look into a business that's not saturated with people of color.
mm,
Right? If it's not saturated with people of color, that means that I have an opportunity to get rich. Right? Because the white man, when they have something, they take it and bleed it dry, and then they want to pass it to us. And by the time we get it, laws done change. You can do this, you can't do that. So,
okay,
I say I had to say I had started in 20 and in 2002. I started a portable toilet company, porta potty.
really?
Yeah, and everybody said you can't do that. That's for the Italians. That's for the Irish. That's the mob. You're gonna get murdered. And I was like, listen, y'all watch too many Soprano movies. You know what I'm saying? I said, I was in prison for 10 years, and let me tell you something. Every Italian I know pay. So I'm not worried about none of that. Right? And I listen, I personally had my experience where, I was in the street, uh, looking to get accounts for my portable toilet company. And I had this Italian guy come up to me and say, "Hey, who you work for?" And I said, "Who I work for?" I said, "I work for myself." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." He said, "No, you don't." I said, "It's my business." He said, "This is not your business." He said, "People like you don't be in this business." I kid you not. I didn't take it
Wow.
personal. I said, "I'll tell you what." He said, no, so he said, "Yo, let me be your partner." I said, "I don't need a partner." He said, "Listen, if I ask you let me be your partner, you should consider that." I said, "Dude, you too, you watch too many movies, man." I said, I said, I'm gonna tell you my name. And you go back to your friends, whoever you need to go back to. And if they say they don't know me, I I will make you my partner." I kid him, I told him just like that. I
Yeah.
said, "But if they tell you they know me, I want you to give me every contract you have." Dude,
Wow.
I came back the next week because I had a toilet on his job. This is on 143rd Street between 7th and Lenox Avenue.
Okay.
I came into his job. He came out. He grabbed my hand. "Bozy, you should have told me who you were, Bozy. I didn't know, man. We're friends. We got, yeah." And he did the Italian thing and all that other stuff. But and the business lasted for 14 years. I
Wow.
just got tired. I got tired of smelling like shit, and so I sold the business. I
that,
sold the
that,
business. Yeah,
that's what caused you to
yeah,
sell the business. I'm sure you hired
yeah.
people that were servicing that for you.
I mean, that's a joke. That's not why I sold the
Yeah, no,
business.
I got you. I'm just
I was
saying.
just, it was. Honestly, kid. Honestly, this is the God honest truth. When I started that business, I didn't know business,
Mm,
and I learned how to become a businessman by trial and error. I didn't know business. When I say I didn't know business, I'm speaking of I had an accountant because I was making so much money at the time. I had an accountant, my accountant quit on me. She said, "I'm quitting because you're stealing." I was like,
wow.
"Stealing? What do you mean I'm stealing?" She's like, "You have a social security number and your business have an EIN number.
Sure.
It's like a social security number.
Right.
Every time I do your books, 90% of your spending is on person. Unless you're gonna get two EIN numbers, you're stealing, dude, man." And she actually quit. And then I was I realized that I wasn't a businessman because every time it came time to pay bills, I couldn't pay the bills. because I done spent my money on a lifestyle that I once knew. I walk into a bar and all drinks on me, and
Right.
I had five girlfriends, and I bought 4 or 5 different cars. This is literally what happened. So one day I said to myself, the IRS came and they drove into me real hard. I said to myself, are you going to be a become an entrepreneur, or do you want to be a horrible businessman? And that's not the coin that I use, but I'm
Yeah,
using
yeah,
it in
sure. I
the
got you.
show. You want to be a horrible businessman, right? Because you and I both know people um, of color who have started a business, making money, put people in a place to run the company, but don't know what's going on in the business and spending all the money,
Yeah.
right? And when time to come pay bills, you can't pay the bills because you don't have the money. You can't pay your staff. So I had to have a real deep tissue look into myself, and I made changes. I made changes, and I learned. I taught myself business. I taught myself the art of business and I'm still learning. I'm still
Sure.
learning, I'm self-taught on how to be a businessman. So that was my first introduction, and I've had businesses prior to that. I had a nightclub. My whole life, I have had businesses.
Okay.
Um, but from 2000, I would say from 2004 to current date, I have been working hard at being a businessman who desired to be an entrepreneur.
So I have a question for you. What type of were there any outside resources that you used to kind of refine those skills and developing into, or making a transition businessman, entrepreneur?
So
Like,
I was a street dweller. I was in the street selling drugs. I went to prison. Went away for 10 years, but I'm a hustler.
yeah,
I'm from the 70s. So, it's in you, right? If you were a 60s baby, a 70s baby, I grew up around pimps and number runners, right?
yeah,
Not even so much drug dealers. Like my heroes were pimps and number runners,
yeah,
and they were businessmen. Those are guys that took care of the neighborhood. When the rent couldn't get paid in people's homes, they went to the number runner. When Thanksgiving came around and there was no food in people's homes, the number runners, paid them. So I learned to be a hustler when I was a child. I learned that, um, and forgive me for being transparent, but this is who I am.
no,
I learned that there are so many other ways to make money, and I didn't want to go back to prison.
I understand.
So I said, you know what? Let me reinvent myself, and because that's what it's about. It's about us reinventing ourselves and on a daily, right?
Okay.
Being better today than what we were yesterday. Always challenging ourselves to become better and leading by example. And that's what I live for, and that's what I do on a daily.
So Mike, I'm going to pivot real quick before we close out, but I'm just curious. So what year did you come home?
2001.
Okay.
I went away 91. I came home 2001.
Okay. So you come home now through your through the stretch. Did you kind of think it through, like, I want to come home and start this business? Like, is that part of your planning process? Like, okay,
No,
this
sir.
is what I want to get into.
No, sir. While I was doing my stretch, I knew that I was coming home broke, and I knew that times had changed, right? Because I was one person, one out of few. I can't even say many, who I didn't stay on the streets when I was away.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
made it my business. I made it my business to learn something, teach myself, because they didn't have programs anymore when I was. You couldn't go to college. You couldn't do none of that stuff. They took all that out of the system. So while I was away, I made sure that I didn't hang around anyone that I normally would hang around. I made sure that I hung around different ethnicities, so that I can learn something. And being that I had the time to pick up a book, I just started reading anything and everything.
Okay.
But when I didn't have a direction when I came home, I was actually lost. But when I came home, I vastly um, found my way. Make a long story short.
Yeah, no, I got you. I got you.
And listen, and one day I can tell you the story is it's really funny. And this is with the portable toilet company. Um, I came home. I was on a halfway house, and I went to work for a friend who had a portable toilet company. And I did so well for them, supervising their their crew that I was only supposed to be there 90 days.
Yeah.
They kept me on full time.
Okay.
But then I realized that I was working for somebody. I was like, wait a minute, I can't do this because I got to lie to the owner why I ain't come to work.
Yeah.
I got to lie to the owner why am I late. I'm not doing that. I didn't go away to do all that time to come and create a paycheck.
Sure.
So what I did, I went and started. MB Restaurant was the name of my portable toilet company. Again, I didn't know business at all. So I came with the concept. I said, you know what? I'm going to take my income tax money. I'm going to start this corporation. I'm going to force them to fire me. And I'm going to live off of my, what you call it?
Unemployment.
Unemployment.
Yeah.
It didn't go the way I thought, right? Unemployment, the people of the business, the company I was working for, they told employment that I had my own business. So unemployment said, even though you're not earning any money, you're not unemployed.
Sure.
So I did what everybody else did. I had to figure it out. So I actually went to Lloyd Williams at Harlem Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And I said, I want this contract. Right? Mind you, I had no equipment. I just had a corporation. I said, I want this contract. I said, give me this contract. He said, first you got to join Harlem Chamber of Commerce. So I went calling around people borrowing money so I can join Harlem Chamber of Commerce. It was like $500 at the time.
Right.
So I got up the money, I joined, and then he said, okay, I'll give you the contract. So what I did, I went to adversary. I say, listen, I got business for you. Let's become allies. I said, I want to pay you to clean all these toilets. And this is how we going to do it. He said, well, I'm not putting none of my toilets out there, but I'll do the cleaning for you.
Okay.
So what I did, a buddy of mine and a female friend of mine, I went around New York and I stole 100 toilets. I stole 100 toilets. I ripped off all the signs of the toilets and put them in every location that Lloyd Williams told me I needed to put them at. And that's how I got on my feet, man. Just
Are
like
you
that.
serious?
Listen. I have people that can test to this, man.
Wow.
That's how I got on my feet. That's how I got my first truck, and I started purchasing my first toilets.
That's
just like that,
man. Michael Hollingsworth, ladies and gentlemen, on the blkbox podcast. Hey, Mike.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, listen, do me a favor before we sign off, right? Let them know where they can find out more about you, where they can find out where your products are. Like, give me some IG handles. Give me all you got.
Okay, well, they just hacked my IG, so I had to start all
over.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, man, they hacked my IG, so I lost everything, content, and my 12,000 followers. I'm starting all over again. But I am Michael Hollingsworth, owner operator of DDW Drug Testing Services, owner operator of Harlem's Crime Scene Cleanup Services, owner operator of R&P Hollingsworth Wine Distribution. I make my own wine based out of California. Owner operator of Hollingsworth Soul clothing, fashion clothing. I do a few things, man. You know what I mean? Oh, Mike Stinking Thinking. I'm an author of Mike Stinking Thinking. So my IG is O. Michael Hollingsworth. It's O. Michael Hollingsworth. That's my name. Hollingsworth Wine is my IG. Hollingsworth Soul is my IG.
SOLE.
SOLE. So Hollingsworth, so SOLE, and Mike Stinking Thinking. So just go on my page, check me out. And guess what? I'm hiring. I'm hiring people. I'm training people to not have a job, but I'm training people to have a career. I certify you and train you so you can have a career, have your own career. So send people to me.
You heard it here first on the Black Box App podcast. Michael Hollingsworth, entrepreneur, is actually hiring people to teach them that game. Listen,
Yeah.
I appreciate you, my friend. Continued success to you as you continue to maneuver this corporate space. I'm just looking forward to continuing to hear amazing things with you. We'll do this again in November, man. I'm going to bring you back, hopefully, God willing, to do it again for the entrepreneurship series. Indeed. Look,
thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, my friend.